They say revenge is best served cold. I say it's best served with a permit, a chainsaw, and an ironclad copy of your property deed. But before I tell you how I legally and spectacularly wrecked Karen's perfect HOA lawn dreams, let's rewind to the moment I found my 40-year-old shade tree lying in pieces on my front yard like a murdered friend. I didn't cry, but my barbecue grill did. That tree had been its only shield from the sun. Welcome to Prodigy Tales. Make sure you like and subscribe for your top-notch HOA drama. It all started when Karen, president of our local HOA and self-appointed goddess of greenery, decided my oak tree was visually disruptive. No notice, no vote, no letter. Just a smug HOA maintenance crew with chainsaws and matching vests, smiling like they were trimming hedges in heaven. I stormed out in disbelief. "What the hell do you think you're doing?" One of them, let's call him Chad with a chainsaw, replied, "Under HOA Ordinance 8.4, Section C." "Shut up," I said. "That tree is on my property." Karen strutted over, sipping iced coffee like it was a wine tasting. "Actually, your tree's roots were encroaching on community land. We're within our rights." I whipped out my phone and filmed the whole thing. Her smug face, the buzzing chainsaws, even the illegal step she took onto my private lawn. Then I checked the property lines. Guess what? That tree wasn't even close to the boundary. Now, most people would file a complaint, write an email, maybe go to a board meeting and be ignored. But I'm not most people. I'm the kind of person who gets petty in an organized, legally devastating way. First, I called a surveyor, then I called my lawyer, then I filed for permits for a landscape redesign that didn't need HOA approval because, as it turns out, Karen had made a critical error. She never registered the HOA's easement claim on my property line with the county. Translation? I could build damn near anything I wanted, and I had plans. Oh, very noisy, very bright plans. Karen took my tree. I was about to take her peace and quiet, 1 decibel at a time. Want to hear what I did next? Let's just say she wished she'd only brought a chainsaw. The very next morning, a flatbed truck arrived in front of my house carrying the first part of my revenge, a 12-foot-tall kinetic metal sculpture shaped like a tree, but not just any tree. This one spun in the wind, had wind chimes tuned to the most obnoxious notes on the musical scale, and was wrapped in LED strips that pulsed at random intervals. I called it the Ghost of Oakley. Karen called it visual terrorism. And because my tree had been marked an eyesore, I made sure this metal monstrosity faced her living room window, front and center, legally. She marched over, clutching her HOA binder like it was a holy book. This thing violates HOA decor regulations." "Good morning, Karen. It's an art installation. It honors the fallen. You know, the tree you murdered without permission." "It's an eyesore." No, you said my last tree was an eyesore. This one's art, and it's protected under City Code Section 5.19. I even filed it with the county under interactive yard sculpture." She sputtered. She flailed. She threatened to call the mayor. But wait, it gets better. I also submitted paperwork for a pollinator garden. You know what that means? Wildflowers. Bees. Lots and lots of wildflowers. And those? Not under HOA jurisdiction, baby. I let it grow wild, vibrant, and borderline jungle. Soon, butterflies swarmed it. Then hummingbirds. Then, yes, thank karma, bees began forming a small hive in one of the garden boxes closest to her fence. Karen emailed the HOA board that she was being attacked by nature. Meanwhile, I installed a solar-powered speaker system in the sculpture. It played bird calls on a random loop, hawk shrieks at 3 a.m., owl hoots at 6 p.m., and for dramatic flair, peacock screams at noon. She left 5 handwritten complaints in my mailbox, each one with less punctuation and more unhinged capital letters. I responded by installing a spotlight under the sculpture that illuminated it every night until 2 a.m., on a timer, of course, for energy efficiency. Karen went full postal when the HOA voted not to intervene. They were too scared after seeing my survey, my permits, and a cease and desist letter I had already drafted. But trust me, I was just getting started. What comes next? Let's just say the HOA learned the meaning of shade, even without my tree. By week 3, Karen looked like she hadn't slept in days. Her blinds stayed shut 24/7, probably because the LED branches on my metal tree were now synced to weather updates, changing color and blinking every time there was a slight breeze. Forecast said windy all week. Oops. But the real pièce de résistance? I partnered with a local art collective to host a community appreciation night. Translation: a full-blown backyard rave themed around environmental justice. A DJ set up under the sculpture. People came dressed as trees. There was a guy on stilts pretending to be a wood sprite. The HOA's Facebook group melted down in real time. Karen called the cops. Guess what? My noise levels were within legal residential limits, and I had a special events permit. The officer even asked for a flyer. His cousin wanted to come to the next one. She stood across the street with her arms crossed like a traffic cone with a grudge. Now remember, Karen's been HOA queen for 6 years. She's the kind of person who files noise complaints against lawnmowers and once threatened to fine a neighbor for having wind chimes that sounded too whimsical. So naturally, she decided to escalate. The next morning, I found a bright pink citation taped to my door claiming I owed $3,000 in landscaping violations. I called my lawyer. He laughed. Turns out Karen unilaterally issued those citations without a board vote and had used HOA letterhead without approval. That's fraud, baby. We sent a very polite legal notice. In response, she tried to hold an emergency HOA meeting in her driveway with only 2 board members and 3 loyal Karens. I showed up with donuts, a Bluetooth speaker blasting timber, and a banner that read, "Trees fall, karma rises." The board voted to suspend all landscaping citations indefinitely, citing legal concerns. Karen tried to scream her way into a vote, but someone caught the whole meltdown on camera and posted it online. Let's just say the comment section had thoughts and memes. She finally snapped when she saw her face photoshopped onto a weeping willow. That night, I saw her standing in her yard, staring at the metal tree like it had insulted her ancestors. She wanted war? Too late. It was already over. But now, it was time for my finishing move. You'd think after the sculpture, the garden, the parties, and the memes, Karen would back off and nurse her wounds like any defeated tyrant. But no. Karen filed a lawsuit, personally, against me, in county court. Her claim that my excessive retaliatory landscaping caused her emotional distress and interfered with community cohesion. Oh, and she also accused my sculpture of attracting raccoons. It was the most Karen thing she'd ever done, and it backfired beautifully. First, my lawyer shredded her claim like it was dry leaves. The judge took one look at my property survey, my permits, the police report, the HOA emails, and then leaned over and said, "Wait, you had a tree? They cut it down without permission, and she's suing you?" The case was dismissed within 15 minutes. But it didn't end there. See, what Karen didn't know was that her unauthorized use of HOA letterhead and unilateral fine threats had triggered a review by the county's Office of Community Governance. That little pink citation she slapped on my door, it was technically impersonating a municipal authority. She got fined. Personally. $8,000. Then, a small group of homeowners, finally fed up with her dictatorship, called for a vote to remove her as HOA president, and they got it. It passed in a landslide, 27-3. The only 3 who voted to keep her were her bridge buddies, and even they looked embarrassed afterward. Karen was officially stripped of her title, her clipboard, and her sacred parking spot. I watched from my porch with a tall glass of lemonade as she packed up her little lawn inspection flags into a box marked HOA Essentials. But I wasn't finished. Not quite. I took the last chunk of the old oak tree stump and engraved a plaque on it. In loving memory of peace and shade, murdered by HOA hubris, replaced by glorious petty justice. I mounted it right under the sculpture. Then added solar fairy lights, because why not? Now, every evening, I sit outside, watch the lights blink across Karen's now overgrown lawn, and listen to the wind chimes sing her legacy into the void. Revenge wasn't just sweet, it was beautifully landscaped. The end, please like and subscribe for more HOA showdowns like this. Do you think Karen got what she deserved? Comment below.